My name is Hemant, and I thank the Rise World Summit for having me here. Today, we are going to dive into the content thing of how social entrepreneurs, or leaders can get the content thing right to get three major things done. One of it is to power their outreach. Second one is to nurture patterns, and third one is to make sure that you are able to reach all the volunteers that you could leverage the strengths of. So I'm going to start the presentation, and you can drop in a hi if it is visible. I mean, drop in a smiley or drop. Uh, Here it is. So I run a consulting practice called Hemant Sharma Consults, and I work with non-profits and for-purpose enterprises to get their content thing right. So before we start, this is one of my favorite anecdotes that I was told when I was growing up. Uh, Steve Jobs once came to India before starting Apple when he was very young to meet a spiritual teacher. No, he was late to meet the spiritual teacher because he had already passed away. But he met his very loved disciple named Ramdas, the original name Professor Richard Alpert, who was once a Harvard professor. So Steve asked him, what would have the guru told me if I would have met him? So what Ramdas said changed Steve Jobs' life forever, and he told him, "Be here now." So from that note, we are going to start off with it. Before we start, this is the lesson zero, which every leader needs to know about content, about how they go out and how they reach out, how they take their company ahead in terms of content. The first one is everyone is a salesperson. You are either a good one or you are either a bad one. So whether it's everyone amongst us is selling either an idea or a philosophy or a purpose or a product, a service, or the way of doing things in the world or making a difference. So everyone from the top leader to the lower one, the grassroots guy, is a salesperson. Now, whether you are selling it to the people inside or whether you are selling it to people outside, the realization that I am selling something makes you very accountable and mindful of whatever you are doing. Second thing is, uh, people want to buy, but they don't want to be sold to. Now, this is something which we can also witness in the retail stores where the salesman is not hovering around you. Because we have seen, you might have also seen that when the salesman is not hovering around you, people usually end up buying more rather than when salesman around, because that makes them feel uneasy. And for this context, people are not just here with money. So they're here with attention, they're here with purpose, they're here with money. That's how they're going to pay you when you make a sale or when you. Now this may seem very cheesy, like why are we telling that? Oh, why was a salesperson? uh, Agreed that salesperson traditionally have been very untrusted profession, uh, by as by various polls and not as a personal opinion. And third is every company is a content company. No matter what you are doing, you are a content company. The faster you realize it, the better it is. Whether you are a non-profit, whether you are a for-purpose outfit, whether you are in edtech, whether you are in education, whether you are in sanitation, whether you are in CSR thing, you are a content company. Now, there is a reason behind that. One, uh, the second point, people want to buy, but they don't want to be sold to. And then we come on to why create awesome content. Now, if we go here, this is where it starts, because every company is a content company. So every leader should be accountable for the kind of content that a company creates. Now, it's very easy to outsource the content stuff, or tell someone in the company that you take care of the content stuff, and that can be done. Traditionally, most of the companies have mechanized that stuff and they are doing it. But if you want to create an impact, if you want to create a personalized content, if you want to create a content that makes sense to people that you want to work with, then it becomes the responsibility of a leader to own up the content function and make sure that whatever content is going out is very mindfully created, because this content is going to help you do two things. One, enhance your company's branding, communicate the company's purpose, and be of value and use to all the potential clients and the existing ones. Now, why create awesome content? Now, why this awesome thing is in the bracket is because uh, all of us are creating content in one way or the other. One, because it's very easy. Two, because we have an audience, which are our friends. And third, because it is free. So everyone is creating content, but the awesome content as a company, these are the three realizations that are going to help you out. One, no one is going to buy the first time. So even if you have a lead, even if you have someone who is interested in, they're not going to buy the first time. Now, when I say buy is a transaction with attention, with time, with advocacy, with voice, and then with money, which can be in donations, which usually comes in the last. So, which means that you can use content to travel a journey with your prospective user, which means that whenever a user goes to buy something or goes on to advocate something and go on to communicate something, they usually go through a journey, which many people say that it's the user journey or the consumer journey. So, which starts with the introduction to the concept first, then seeking a social validation, then having the ethical onboarding, and then moving ahead with the progressing thing with the ease cropping in. Now, second is we always buy from people we know or we trust, which means that if there is less perceived risk of deviations from what is expected, then people go and buy. But then it has to come from the knowing, and the trust comes from the content or the work that you are doing. See, content is a very crucial lever in communicating the kind of work that you are doing or you have done. And third one is we always look for experts we can resonate with. Now, when we say the experts, it means that the people who are driven, the people who are doers, and people who are givers. I mean, that's how the expert thing comes in. That's how we define it here. So people who are driven in sense, the purpose is set as per the RISE framework. Doers, the execution is right as per the RISE values as we have seen. And then the givers, which means that they give more than they take. See, that's why if you see that most of the companies, most of the consumers trust Tata, because one, they are driven by the Tata values, they are doers, they get things done on ground, and they are givers. So they do more charity than filling up their banks. So that's how the trust comes in, and this is the lesson that we can usually draw in very easily for any non-profit, any for-purpose thing to drive in and do the content. One, uh, not going restless because no one is going to buy for the very first time. Second, build your brand, communicate your values, and enhance trust. And third one is emerge as an expert. Now, all this is going to take time. So, if you are restless, then content journey is going to be tough for you simply because you're not going to enjoy and relish the thing and take it as a journey. Now, the questions every content leader should ask themselves. Now, this is a very comprehensive uh, questionnaire which every content leader should ask. Now, you may say that, oh, now, where is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step? Now, see, that execution competence can be taken care of, but the philosophical or the ideological thing is very crucial before we dive into that thing. That's why this workshop, because of time constraint, is a part of the very big, larger uh, workshop series. So now, who is or are my audience? Now, this question is very frequently asked, and most of the leaders usually spend very less time on this. And that is the tragedy of the whole content thing. Now, how do we start with who my audience are? So, one test is, as mentioned below, is one, someone who I know personally. Second thing, someone who resonates with the cause. And third one is someone who has a bias toward action. Now, why this is so? This reminds me of a story of the Pencils of Promise. The founder of Pencils Promise, his name is Adam Brown. So he was traveling to India, and he met a very backpacking to India, and he met a small child on the traffic signal, and he asked the child that, uh, "What would you like to have if you could have anything in this world?" And that little chap said that, "I would like to have a pencil." And that's how the Pencil of Promise was born. Now, that is not a complete story. Adam Brown went to US back, and then he wrote to all his friends, because why? He knew that they were the people he knew personally, and the ones who would resonate with the cause, the ones who have traveled to a country which was facing such deprivation and had a bias towards action. That means they would do something. Either they would contact him to someone else, or they would raise money, or they would forward the cause to someone who would then forward it to someone else, and that's how it spread. So knowing your audience is the first thing before we go on the content journey, before you put the first thing. Or else, if you are already putting in the place, then you can go and find that who are the people who are engaging with my posts, and then they are your audience, and then you can do the profiling and see that what is common in them. Second is, what are the problems they are facing? So are they uh, not able to do something about the cause that they are very much sentimental about? Are they not meeting people who are like-minded so that they can combine and do something on ground? So you have to find out what are the problems they're facing, or do they, or are they unaware that someone is doing such kind of thing, and how can we get involved? And then the third one is, how can I be of help? Now, all these things are something which a leader should ask himself. Now, how can I be of help means that, don't ask for money, but how you can drive the cause, how you can progress the purpose, how you can do your bit. It can be small, but then how you can do your bit. So if you are very focused and driven, you will surely find a group of givers that you can align with. If you look around, you will feel that no matter how, in which place you are operating, you always have few cheerleaders around. And if you can be of help, then that goes more. I mean, that's how the whole community sense works. How can I make their life better? And then what kind of content resonates with them? Now, the fifth one, what kind of content resonates with them? So when you go in the first thing and say that, what kind of content the industry leaders are putting in, what kind of people are engaging with them. So that kind of content can become inspiration for you to seek out what kind of content people resonate with. Are they carousels? Are they text posts? Or are they events? Are they photographs? Are they interviews, or whatever it is? And now, how to use job story. Now, this is how the whole thing progresses. Now, once you know that who my audience are, see, you whenever you are working on this, yes, one thing is, your audience profile may not be very much well defined. Now, that is okay, because all of it is a journey. Whenever you go ahead, launch an initiative, do something which is of value, your audience may change. But then tracking how your audience are evolving is also a very big move for the long term existence or growth of a company or an outfit or an initiative. Now, what problems are they facing? And how can I be of help? As your audience progress, so is your how you can help goes ahead with. So if you see at one of the biggest outfits in the whole world, that is Red Cross. So it started off with helping the military operations and making it okay for soldiers and epidemics, and then it moved on to go for the vaccination thing, then it went to the blood donation thing, making sure that all their audience, all the people who are involved are being taken care of, and the Red Cross is helping, and that's how it gathered more donors and other stuff. Now comes the job theory. And job theory has nothing to do with Steve Jobs. Jobs is the jobs that a content can do. Now, the first question is, what do you want your content to do? That is the job. Now, this job can be to spread or to go viral, which is which most of the outfits usually aspire for. But I personally am not very okay with the idea of virality initially. To subscribe to a newsletter, to a service, or to engage, which means that to comment, what do you want them to do? To support and to join. By join, I mean that if you see the post of Akshay Batra Foundation, they usually go for to join or to engage, which is to spread the word or to join the cause by mobilizing donations or by mobilizing support. Now, if you know that what job do you want to get done from a particular post or from a particular category of posts, then you become more mindful of how you're going to proceed with it. So this is one crucial thing that which most of our leaders end up missing out on, the job story. Like they fall into the trap of posting stuff simply because they have to post or because they are undergoing a FOMO thing. Like, oh, this has to go out because I am getting likes and my people may miss out on, which may turn out to be myth, to be very candid. And second is your profile. Your content includes your profile, your posts, your photos, which is the profile photo also, your comments, the comments you make to people, and your messages. The rider here is audience follow a life cycle of engagement before they actually engage. So you may see that if you are very much consistent, a few other people may, if I wish we could track everyone who is visiting, but people would come to your post and then leave. They may again come to your post, show a like, and then they may again come to your post and drop a comment. They may again come to your post and repost or something like that. So the followers or the audience will usually go through a life cycle of engagement before they actually engage. And this means that you have to be very mindful of what you want your content to do. Second, the kind of engagement that you drop in. And third is you are very much engaged or consistent with the content that you are posting. So the job story helps you be very much mindful of the kind of job that you want your content to do, which means that every content you put out has to have a purpose. Now, for instance, if you go for these things, now if you want someone to subscribe to a newsletter, now that will have a different pipeline of content posting, which means that you may say that every Friday we go and launch a newsletter, and then you can subscribe by sharing one or two highlights or one or two comments or one or two user reviews. Similarly, if you want to garner support, you can go for why you should support, and then a Friday thing or Saturday thing or Thursday thing when people usually engage more, and then have a stream of posts one day every week, which means that people can expect when the post is coming, and the algorithm can also support you. Whatever kind of algorithm it is, whether it's the Facebook algorithm, whether it's the LinkedIn algorithm or the YouTube algorithm, these algorithms love predictability and consistency, and people usually love the comments and the messages because it's a human thing. So when you go for the job story and move like this, you are working with you are working very pro to your audience, your cause, the algorithm, and all the humans that work with it. So now your job becomes to post content with a particular focus in mind and be very mindful of whatever goes online. So I am very much biased towards LinkedIn here. So this will apply to LinkedIn directly, but to all the other platforms indirectly or little bit more latently. Now your job is to make it easy for all the visitors to engage with the post. So which means that if you want to spread it, then you should say spread it and then direct the link. To subscribe, you should have a very easy link to click, and then the subscription thing happens in just one or two posts. Same with the donation thing, and that's how it has to work. You can also drop in questions in the comments, and then we can work it out the moment we finish it. Uh, now, three kinds of content that works. One is the content that connects by making the audience believe that you are one of them and they are one of you. The second thing is content that highlights your purpose, your idea of a better world, and how. Now, this may include you uh, doing something in sync with the cause or purpose that you are serving, collaborating with people who are in the same purpose category, or doing things together on the ground and saying that the purpose is in action. It may include all the photographs that you do when you do a grassroots activities, all the testimonies that you take from people who have benefited, and all the audience or people who are working with you and why they're working with you when we're in the state that because we resonate with the purpose, all the volunteers and all. And third is content that strikes a conversation and makes taking action easy. You might have seen that most of many people engage with the polling posts on LinkedIn, or the whenever a question is asked and people start writing comments, and that is that type of content which can help strike conversation and make people into the inner circle, and that's when everything starts to fall in place. So if you want to see at the ease of content that helps, you can go from 3 to 1, which means that content that strikes conversation and makes taking action easy. Second is content highlights your purpose. And third one is content that connects. See, most of the times, if you see that content that connects is one, it is nostalgia. Second is humor. And third is asking for a paradigm shift for in education, in sanitation, in health, in vaccination campaigns, or whatever it is. So these are the three types of content that most of the times work, and that will serve the jobs that you want to do. Like here, if we go back, if you want people to spread the idea, the purpose thing. If you want to subscribe, then the conversation thing or the connect thing. If you want them to engage, support, and join, then also the content that connects, content that's like conversations, and content that highlights the purpose. Uh, I will be glad to share a checklist of all the content categories once we are done with it, done with the presentation. Now, uh, three mindset shifts that will help you get done more. One of it is being a giver is a good move. Closed mouths don't get fed, and being transactional is a bad move. Now, why these three mindsets? Now, if you look at very closely, being a giver is a good move means that uh, givers flock with givers. If you look around, if you are very driven, you will find that though you may have very less people working around, but they will be working very with heart and working voluntarily to drive the cause. And second is being transactional is a bad move. Asking for money, see, donations usually come and people usually make it make sense, but and then the closed mouths don't get fed. Now, why this is this mind shift is written in here? Because I learned from my experience that uh, writing mindful content is a good move to start engaging with people who matter or who are working very nicely. And second thing is being a very being a giver as a leader also helps you drop messages, drop emails, and be noticed. Why? Because you are putting in good content, you are a giver, and you want to give more. But if you're not reaching out to people who matter, they can be policymakers, they can be someone who is personally very attached to the cause, someone who would you would like to invite as a speaker. The moment you open your mouth by being a after being a giver is the only way to get people on board. So you can ask them to be volunteers. You can ask them to uh, talk to students and recruit volunteers. You can work on the grassroots. You can ask for volunteer teachers. You can ask for speakers. You can ask for TEDx people. I have known people who were able to land a TEDx event just by asking for it. So whenever you have a content in place, you can ask for it, because then people know that what you stand for. And third is, being transactional is a very bad move. Now, this is what I have learned personally. By transactional, I mean that the money transaction. So it is very specific here. I have not mentioned it here, but see, whenever you are running, whether it's a for profit, whether it's a non-profit, whether it's a for purpose, or whether it's a normal business, being transactional always lets you get done things in short run, but suffer in a long run. So if you are putting in good content, if all your posts are not about seeking donation, then you have a fair chance of getting people to get involved with the cause by using your content. Which means that you may always put in content which is the kind of thing you stand for, the people who are endorsing you, the kind of grassroots work you are doing. And then you can ask for donation only once you have established that you are a giver, and you are a giver in actual, because people are very smart. Now, two mistakes to avoid, which uh, all of us make. See, to be very candid, all of us make. It's very human thing. It's a dopamine thing. We love likes simply because it makes us feel important. I personally have felt that way, and I'm glad that I know that it doesn't work. The truth is that likes don't pay the bills. So people may like and people may go. So engagement always gets you a little step further when it is the content thing. So whether it's your blogs that you are writing, interviews you are holding, or the content you are posting, the impact you are showcasing, likes are a good way to start, but that's not the end. I mean, you should aspire for engagement. You should aspire for the human to human connection wherever you are. And third one is, more the number of followers, better it is. But the truth is that quality triumphs over quantity. So just imagine that you have 10,000 people in your content, in your contact list, and then you have 1,000 people, but there are but few people who, for instance, if you have Anand Mahindra in the contact list, if you have uh, the Tata Group guy in the contact list, or if you have someone who works for the Glenmark thing in the list, and then you see that even if you have 20 people in the list, someone who has follower or interacting with you, then you are much better than having 1,000 followers. So I mean, though this was too preposterous to say that, but quality always triumphs over quantity. Because someone who is doing great, if he resonates with their content and he shares it and wants the world to know about that this is the guy that who is doing something very great, and this is the content piece that I want you to know, then it is much better than anyone else, any random person saying that thing. Now the way ahead. Before we move ahead, do you have any questions? I mean, let me have a look at the content comments thing. So let's move to the presentation, back to the presentation. Uh, the way ahead. I mean, if you are a leader, if you want your personal brand to move ahead, if you want the company to create mindful content, these are the steps that have worked and work for people. One of it is follow the industry leaders and people you like, which means that if you are working in education space, follow the industry leaders that work in this space in your country, in your geography, and internationally. It can be the companies, it can be the leaders who are working, it can be teachers who are creating great content and are engaging with people. Second thing is identify your audience, which means that what kind of audience you would like to get in touch with, what kind of audience would help progress your cause, what kind of audience would help you gain traction. Third one is identify micro niches. Now, this is something which no one talks about, but this is where the whole game changes. By micro niches, I mean that the audience can be a broad thing, but then you realize that there is a very small segment which can do most of the which you can work as a team to progress the cause. Now they can be very small but very influential. Influential in terms of their credibility. It may not be their uh, follower count, to be very candid. It may be the credibility, it may be the kind of work they have done, it may be the kind of people or places or forums they get invited to. That is the micro niche, are people who are going to engage with all the content that you produces. So in the tech, it's called the first 1,000 customers or the first 1,000 audience. So the micro niche helps you focus on the first 1,000 people that you want to work with, and that's where the whole game changes. Why? Because if those 1,000 people are the ones who are resonating with your cause, then the explosion in people who get attached to your cause makes sense. Now, how this happens is only when you create content that resonates with them. Now, this is what we are going ahead with it. Now, once you follow the industry leaders and people you like, you will also know that what kind of what is the talk of the town, what kind of things that they are talking about, what resonates with people, what people are feeling about this particular cause, what they feel is missing, and that can empower your own content creation exercise. Now, fourth is make a calendar. Now, this is not going to be an annual calendar. That is too longish for us to go and move. This is going to be a micro calendar, which means that the kind of content you would like to post every day, and you can also being avoid the trap of posting 2 posts in a day, 3 posts in a day. That works for many people, but you can refrain from going that way. Post only the relevant content, and yes, keep scouting for that. Now, making a calendar means that your audience know when the content is coming. You have your planning in place, and you are able to also help the algorithm to make sure that. Now, why I'm saying algorithm is because one or two acts which can help the whole tech thing work in your favor is a good thing. So the algorithm always loves to work with people who are very consistent in posting and who are very predictable in posting. And that way you can see that your content is visible to people who are in a particular niche. And fifth is staying consistent. Once you have the calendar in place, there are many apps to make calendar. There are many blogs to make how to make calendars. You can start with one and keep on improving it. That's how the whole content thing works. Trust the analytics and talk to people. Now, why talk to people is analytics is a very longish and bigger thing, but talking to people is what most of the content readers miss out on. I mean, you can create content from the ivory towers. Now, for instance, when I was working with a very leading children's publisher uh, few years ago, and I still consult with them. And then we realized, talking to the mothers, that one, uh, how to choose a book was one thing that they're very much struggling with, and how to make reading a habit for their children, or how to read aloud, or what kind of books their kids will love to read, or when to include a reading routine. So we created the content around that, which were blogs, which were the parent groups and all those, and then the thing kicked off. So talking to people is always going to help you out. So if you are someone who works in the education sector, you may always go out and say that these are the group that we're working with, and this is what we have learned on the grassroots, and this is what we talked about to teachers. So we talked about teachers, what do you do when you come across with this thing, and that way you can work around and create a community of teachers who can gain help from each other. Which brings us to the first question, that how can you be of help, how you can make their life better. So talking to people is something which most of the content creators miss out on, and that's where the whole thing starts crumbling down. And seventh one is keep working. Now you can, it's the compounding works here. That's what I want to say. So if you keep working, you keep accumulating people, if you keep building trust, in the longest run, it starts working out. Now the content thing. Now, why you may say that, oh, why I have not talked about the content thing? I have one or two samples to show you after we go on to the next slide. Now these are the tools that you can use, freely available, but very required. So Canva is the graphic designing tool that anyone can use, very intuitive and very drop and publish. Unsplash is high definition free images to be used, and Grammarly is writing the context slide. Any doubts you have? Then I will show you a few samples. So I will show you one or two pages which will so if we look at this page, hope this is visible. We are going to move to two pages. One of it is Pencils of Promise. Now, this is a non-profit based in New York, but they work in Cambodia and other African places for education sector. Now, if you see the kind of content that has gained traction, you will be able to see here. Now, this is a post which has photographs, 32 likes, 25, 48, and so on. So this is a little lessish on thing. But if you go to the SOS Village of India, this is what you will see. So for all the posts, so you may see that there are many posts around there. So there are few animated ones, there are few informational ones, but the kind of traction they have gained is, see, 24 and no comment and no, only one repost. Same here, the traction thing, only one repost and 36 likes and comments, likes and no comments. Now this is where it starts going great. So if you see, you have the people thing, the grassroots thing, and this works well. 118, 2 comments and 4 reposts. Yes, the company was tagged in, and that makes sense. But then this kind of collaboration thing works. And similarly for the next thing. So if you see the mental health thing, 4 repost, 15, 37. Now you can see what kind of content is gaining traction. So if you have, like, this is here, 137. Yes, we have an influencer here, but if you see that, if you have people, real people in the post, then it works well. So that's how you can move ahead. You can go to all the segment leaders and see what kind of content works, and you can also get content ideas. You can ask for collaboration. You can reshare one or two content of them and then ask for a shared posting or content resharing. I mean, you can open your mouth and that's how you get fed. That's what I have personally believed. Same here. So, but the one thing is, since they have a sequence of posts which are similar and a pattern of posts, this is of help for the algorithm thing, which means that I am sure that this post is being seen by a lot many people, because the each like makes it progress more, and that's why their all count has increased. The visitor count has increased. Similarly, for the hiring post, yes, a very crucial thing, 123 likes. So you may see that what kind of posts gain more traction. Any questions that you may have, or we can go for one, two more examples if you want to, or then we can maybe go for a again run through. I mean, revise all the stuff. So we will do a quick run through of what we have done, and that way you may. So lesson one remains that one, everyone is a salesperson. So the easier and faster you take the accountability of it, the better it becomes. You can always keep working. You can use the content creation as a medium to reach people and help them out. I mean, being a salesperson doesn't mean that you just have to sell stuff out, but be of help. People want to buy but don't want to be sold, which means that using words like uh, buy now or pay now is going to harm your whole effort. Attention, time, and money, in that sequence, people are going to engage. And every company is a content company. The sooner you realize, the better it becomes for you in the longest run. Why create content? No one is going to buy the first time. We always buy from people we know and we trust, and we always look for experts we can resonate with. So if you want to become expert, you the only way to do is provide value consistently, answer questions, and be of help. And working with your audience is where the whole game changes. And how can I be of help? So the traditionally we have seen that, I mean, even during the COVID thing, that outfits which worked on the ground and then went online fared much better than the ones who were only the online thing, because the connection was missing. You stop getting feedback from the audience. Your The group stops refining. You are not able to run the pilot. You are not able to ask them. You are not able to ask a question to them like, how can I be of help to you? And now the job story, nothing to do with Steve Jobs, but all the content that you are posting, you should be very mindful of what the job you want the content to do, to spread the word, to make them subscribe, to engage, to like, to comment, to reshare, to support the cause by joining an event, to support the cause by making people know that they are attending, or to join the community. Now, everything, it goes usually in this sequence. Now we also say that subscribe means to subscribe to an idea. That means that people look you as a significant stakeholder in the whole schema of things of making the world better. So if that only happens if you are creating content on your LinkedIn, on your YouTube, or whatever place your audience are, because the platform selection always helps. If you know what kind of work that you want your particular content post or content activity to get done, it becomes more easy for you to design the content. It becomes more easy to ask for what you want them to do. And your content includes your profile, your posts, your photos, your comments, and your messages. Now, why this is crucial is because if I want to engage with any particular outfit, any particular cause, I will always go and find people who are associated with the cause, which means that as a leader, your profile is also under scrutiny in addition to your company's profile. And also, your profile, your posts, your photos, and your comments can help you warm up the whole activity for the cold email thing. That means if you uh, tell someone that you like their content or you would like to engage, and they have seen and they have seen your content earlier, they have seen what your company is doing, what your outfit is doing, they are more likely to engage. And rider here is audience follow life cycle of engagement. That's not going to happen the very first go. So if you are feeling impatient, it's time to take a deep breath and create much valuable content. Your job is to make it easy for them to engage with the content, which means that if you have a longest post, uh, tough. If you have no call to action in the first four lines, little tougher. If you have no call to action visible on the image or a warm up thing, a little bit more tougher. The engagement goes down. You can always test it and then see what works for you, by also looking at what other people are doing and what is working with them. Like we have seen for the SOS Village of India, we have seen that the posts which have people tagged in it, people visible in it, smaller videos, real videos, non-edited videos, is engaging more, because LinkedIn, YouTube, or whatever is a human to human medium, and the sooner we realize it, the better it becomes. A great type of content that works, content that connects, which means that making people believe that they are one of you and you are one of them, which can also mean that the struggles you faced, the struggle you face every day, the struggle your audience are facing, and you are collectively trying to make sure that it is no longer a life deciding factor for them, or life impacting factor for them. Or content, it highlights your purpose, like how do you want to make this world a better place, how do you want to do your bit, whether it's education for the needy, or whether it's healthcare for the ones, what is your idea of a better world, and what small steps you can take. You can also This kind of content also includes that how people can engage with your content in small steps, no bigger leaps, the small steps. Like you can ask for it that how you can help, you can spread the word, you can join the community, you can work as a volunteer. So that's how you can tell them 1 2 3 instructions. So the content works much better, because now you also know that what you want to achieve through the content, and people also know that this is 1 2 3 4 5 that we have to do. And third one is something that strikes a conversation. You can drop in a comment, that is also your content. You can appreciate someone who's doing good work. You can ask people what they would like to do, or they can ask people how you can. Yeah, we are looking for ideas. So that is one thing which you can always go for it. Like we have the crowdsourcing thing. You can also go for the crowd based ideas. You can also always ask people that this is what we are doing, and how do you want us to move ahead. Now this may seem very vulnerable for a company, but this is something which makes people dive in, and that's where the whole game changes. Three mindset shifts: one, being a giver; second, closed mouths don't get fed; and third is being transactional is a good move. Now the 1 and 3 are exact opposites of each other, and that's why they make sense. Now being a giver means that you are looking in the longest run, you are building credibility, you are building competence, you are building trust, and that's how the cause gets progressed. And the last one, two mistakes to avoid. I have one more to share. One of it is focusing only on the likes and not on the engagement. Second is focusing on the number of followers rather than the quality of followers. And the third mistake is that recycling the same content on all the platforms. Why? Because see, YouTube has a different kind of content requirement, videos. Your LinkedIn may have a different content requirement and have a different audience who are hovering around. And Facebook may have different audience, Instagram may have different audience, very youngish one, millennial ones, and someone who may scroll down and may not have the clickable links to get engaged. This is the way ahead. The first step to start with is to decide in which company you want to spend time with, which means that uh, as the goes the old adage that you are the average of 5 people you hang around with. So this is the corollary for that. Like if you follow the industry leaders, interact with them, create content that resonates with them, you have more likelihood of amplifying your impact by uh, seeking their help, by offering your help. I mean, in the reverse order, which means that offering your help is one thing, and then seeking their help is another thing. Same with people. People you like, you can always appreciate them as a company, as an individual, because if someone is doing good work, complimenting is a good move. Next is identify your audience, the kind of people you interact with, and someone who resonates with your cause, and then finding them online and finding patterns. Identifying micro niches. Micro niche means that uh, uh, out of the audience that you've identified, there will be people who, they may be the age group, they may be the geographical concentration, can be anything. You have to find out what kind of people interact with you. So if you are a very young enterprise or outfit and you start selling merchandise, then you find that a very young people or in 30s people go and buy the merchandise, and that progresses your cause by mobilizing funds in a very non-donatory way. Make a calendar, stay consistent, and trust the analytics and talk to people. Why I'm saying trust the analytics? Because uh, uh, talking to people comes later, simply because the analytics is on the dashboard. And once you go out, then you go out and talk to people, and then keep working. These are the tools, and you can drop in a word for more resources or a interaction. This is the email ID and this is the phone number.